Hey Bloom fam, I'm Tay.
I'm Tosh.
And we are Living the Bloom. Today we have our good friend and therapist, Miss Shalonvia Gundy, coming back to talk to us today.
Hello, ladies.
Hey,
Thank you
girl.
for coming back, because she blessed the first episode.
She did.
Yes, girl.
And we need a little bit more blessing.
Yes, we do.
Okay, I got it.
Yes. So today we are going to be talking about divorce, the impact of divorce, on you individually. If you have experienced someone in your family get divorced, your parents, if you've contemplated divorce, and how you help your friends or family members who are going through a divorce navigate that very tricky space, right? Mm-hmm. And we thought you would be a fabulous addition to this discussion.
Well, thank you.
Partially because I've called you and said, sis, these people are going through this situation, and I'm getting irritated. I'm unclear about what space I'm supposed to be in. And you were like, okay, wait, hold on. Let me talk you through it.
I need Shalonvia number.
Right. Girl, she picks up when I call. And so that triggered me to say, hey, this is something we probably should talk to other people about, because I imagine people are going through the same thing.
All the time, unfortunately.
All the time. Yeah. So I was looking at statistics about the divorce rates for Black adults. Mm-hmm. And we have the highest divorce rate among all other races. Mm-hmm. And we have the lowest marriage rate.
Wow.
And the divorce rate is at 30.8%. Those are the most recent numbers that I saw. Mm-hmm. And Black adults marry later in life than all other races as well.
Right.
So I was thinking, well, if you're getting married later, you've thought through all of it. You coming in
Yeah,
ready.
I thought so too, because I was one of them that got married later. I thought through it all too.
Right. So what do we think is the concern there, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a lot of different facets. So we wanted to talk to you about it from a personal perspective. I've been married for almost 15 years to my husband, and we got married not later, but I was 29, he was 31. And we were doing just fine, but my parents were married my whole childhood growing up. And they had, in my opinion, and most other people's opinion, a great relationship. My parents, mm-hmm. They had a really, really good relationship, fun, outgoing, mm-hmm. did all the things. We traveled. We had a good time. Like, I had a great childhood. And when I was in law school, they said, hey, we're divorcing.
After how many years of marriage? Like 30
It was
years?
over 20 years.
Okay.
It was over 20 years. And I was like, you doing what?
Yeah.
And
I
it was
shocked
confusing.
when I heard that.
Yeah. And it was really, really confusing to me and my brother, because I grew up in a house where they didn't even argue. They had fun. They still, to this day, have fun when they see each other at the football games and all that stuff right there, laughing. And that's just their relationship. So that really impacted me, because I said, if they can't make it, then how can I be able to make it? And I've always, this, I've always wanted to be married.
Yeah.
And after that, it was traumatizing for me. And it impacted the way I dated over the next several years, because any little thing that the person would do, I was like, yeah, we're done. Oh yeah, no, I can't deal with that. Oh yeah, I think we're going to have no, that's not going to work. I mean, it was really, my mom was like, girl, they just dropping like flies. I said, I said, I'm scared to get married. Mm-hmm. And both of my parents in two different conversations said, your husband will not be me. My dad told me that. And you are not your mother.
Right.
And there were other circumstances that really honestly had nothing to do with their marriage, but more with unresolved childhood traumas that led to that space. Because they very much still love each other very much. And I think if they had the choice to do it all over again, they probably would still be together.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, that was my experience. So it took me about 5 years or so to get back to a space where I was open and receptive to getting married without feeling like that their divorce was, going to prohibit me from being happy.
Yeah. See, my parents divorced when I was really young. I was 9 when my parents got divorced. And honestly, I don't know that it probably had impact on me, but I really didn't think about it growing up, because during that time, it's like, you have some friends whose parents are married, and you have some friends whose parents are divorced. Right. So it wasn't something that I thought about. Now, as I got older, like getting married later in life, I think has impacted me. And looking at those numbers, I can understand why people are quick to get divorced.
Right.
Because it's like my way or no way.
Yeah. And you are very independent. Right.
And I'm not saying that I want things to be my way or no way. But I think compromising and just getting into that place of, you know what, I can take care of myself. It's like I don't have to I don't have to tolerate or be in a situation that makes me unhappy.
Right.
So
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that's my current situation. I'm just saying I can understand like people who are established. When they do get married later in life, I can see how they can pull the cord
quicker. Yeah. Because it's harder to compromise.
Yeah.
And my husband and I have had that conversation about compromise. That first year or two, you're like, wait, what are we doing? No, I said that's what I want to do that way. And that takes time to figure that out, to navigate that space. So you have your own personal experiences with divorce.
For sure.
Through parents and through personal.
Yes.
And so as a therapist, I thought it was important for you to come and share your space from your experience from a therapeutic perspective.
Right. So, yes, personally, my mother divorced. My first experience with divorce that I can recognize as being critical was actually my mom divorcing my stepfather. She divorced my father when I was, I think, like 18 months or something. So there's no real knowledge there, right? So her divorce from my stepfather, I was about 9. And I vividly remember it. I remember us having a discussion about it, her asking me how I felt if she did decide to do it. And it was very much so for the best. They weren't healthy. It wasn't a good relationship. So my initial relationship with divorce was viewing it almost as a safe way of living because the relationship was very unhealthy, right? So it became a relief, right? It was a sense of relief for us as a family system originally. And she remarried and unfortunately had multiple other divorces. So then my relationship with divorce became, I don't want to do that. So
you don't want to do that in terms of divorce? Okay.
So I had the opposite response from you, right? Okay. So my decision was, when I get married, I will, make sure that's exactly where I need to be because I'm never getting a divorce. Like it's got to be, I've married a mass murderer and I don't know it, right? Like I'm not getting a divorce. Yep. And unfortunately I did.
Not the mass murderer part.
He wasn't a murderer though.
He wasn't good, but he wasn't a mass murderer.
No. You know, there are levels to this, right?
There's levels.
So I met someone that I dated all through my collegiate experience. And we married when I was in graduate school, and it just was not a healthy relationship. But I knew it. I knew it the entire relationship. But because I didn't want failure on the side of relationships, I continued to fight and say, I can make it work, right? So it created this really unhealthy process where I was constantly either sacrificing or forgiving things that shouldn't have been, right? And so there were no boundaries in that marriage, just were no boundaries.
Yeah.
And then I woke up one day and was like, oh, no. We're done. Kind of literally, actually.
Yes.
How long were you married?
We were together for about 13 years, and I had been married for 7.
Y'all were together for 13 years and then married for...
So it was a total of 13 years. 7 of those were married, yeah. So.
And Bloom Fam, if you're enjoying this conversation, make sure you like,
share, and subscribe.
There you go.
Absolutely. So, I was in that marriage for 13 years, relationship for 13 years. And in my early 30s, I set out to start over. And then interestingly enough, pretty quickly met my husband. And we are super happily married. And
Hey, Mom.
yes. Hey, honey.
Shout out to Black Love.
Yes, Black Love.
For sure. He's
And
my
y'all
best
are the
friend.
cutest.
Thank you.
I just love y'all's relationship, and the way that he loves you is very clear.
Thank you.
It is very clear.
Thank
I
you.
have the cutest kids. Okay.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, we always say we really wish we met ages ago, but it happened
was
in the time.
perfect timing.
It was.
Yeah.
It's definitely been the perfect time. So we both had a real passion for making marriage work. Interestingly, his parents have been married his entire life, and they are super happy and have displayed the epitome of what Black love should be, right? Yeah. So he had that representation, and I had the opposite, and so I sought that. So
had he been married before?
No.
Okay. So you're the first. You're his virgin marriage.
Yes, his first and only wife. So,
and it's gonna be the only.
Yeah, this is it. this is it. Yeah, ain't no divorce over here, thankfully. So, but so that was the starting point. But that also triggered my desire to become a marriage and family therapist. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to understand, like, why are we having such a hard time? Why don't marriages really last? Unfortunately, like, it's kind of plagued my family specifically. We're a family of mostly women, and we're all very independent and very desirous of our own ways in spaces, right? And don't necessarily always compromise well, unfortunately. So that has led to a lot of divorce and separations, or long-term relationships that never led to marriage. Yeah.
So
that's why I decided to study.
Unwillingness to compromise as we get older.
Ooh.
You think that's one of the main reasons?
I don't want to say main, because there are a lot of different variables, right? But I think compromise is a huge factor. People aren't willing to acquiesce. They're not willing to recognize that just because your voice isn't the dominant one in this moment doesn't mean that your voice isn't heard. So there's just not necessarily enough willingness to kind of be silent in partnership and accepting.
And, I think some of that being silent is what I hear a lot of women say is that they don't want to go down with a sinking ship. You know what I'm saying? Like, they feel like the man is not in the best position to lead them or leading them the right way. So it's like they're very vocal, because it's like, hey, wait a minute, you're not leading us in the right way. You're not leading us in the right direction. Right. Or they have some issue with the husband's leadership. And so that's usually what I hear is like a big issue for like women who speak up or don't like take a step back and compromise.
But I think it's what you choose to say, when you choose to say it, and how. My husband tell me the tone. He say my tone. He don't like my tone.
Yeah, but he also, your husband is very mild-mannered.
He is.
And when you get excitable, you're excitable.
I'm excitable.
You're excitable. And yes, it can come across to him. I could see his perspective.
Yeah.
I received that. But I'm like, you better wake up. You alive? Well, like, what's going on?
Right. But that is hard, right? Because one thing that she and I talked about was, I asked my husband who his examples were, because his parents were never married, and his father had multiple children by multiple women. So that was not, a secure foundation as far as a father is concerned. And he fortunately had an uncle that had a long-term marriage, and that was who he really connected to and admired and respected. His other uncle married for a very long time. He admired and respected him. So he had somebody, he had people to look up to and to emulate, right? And they talked to him and were very present influences in his life, right? It wasn't just him looking afar. He lived with one of them at one point and just saw how he loved on his wife, and that for him was good. But sometimes they don't have an example of that. And so when you're having to be rah-rah, I need you to lead better, sometimes it's they didn't know or didn't have the experience because they grew up in a single parent home with the mother and the father was absent and they didn't have any other extended family members to demonstrate those things.
I think that's a very fair point. It's difficult to put a standard on people without considering what their foundational baseline was, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that if we kind of talk about how we can reduce some of the issues with divorce, it's in the preparation before we even consider marriage. And we don't do that part well. If I could just kind of, to me, wrap it up in one thing, we don't do the picking process well. A lot of times,
talk about the picking. Keep going.
Please let us know about the picking.
We as women can be, interestingly enough, overly optimistic in some spaces, meaning we're looking at who you have the potential to become without considering, does that person want to be what you think they can become? Do they have the desire to do the things that you think that they can do? And if they do have the desire, do they have all of the markings and the makings of what life needs to afford them to get them there too, right? And do you have now the patience to walk them through getting there? Because just because you did it in 4 years, you can't expect your partner to do it in 4 years. It may take them 8. Do you have the staying power? Do you have the capacity to be compassionate and understanding that their journey is not going to be at the same pace as yours?
That was a whole word.
That's good.
That's good. I like it. Okay.
Because I do think that we see, and I mean, before I got married, just dating, you see somebody and you're like, he ain't exactly where I want him to be, but, he seemed like he got potential.
I can work with that.
Yeah, I can work with that. Mm-hmm. And I think we do get caught up in that piece of looking at the potential and not really analyzing, like you're saying, like really analyzing yourself.
Yeah.
And saying, do you have the potential, and understanding if that person wants to go in that direction that you got. Because women, girl, we go all kind of places in our mind. When we meet the man for the first time, we already like, can I marry him? Is he somebody?
Right. Real quick.
And you should, I mean, if we really think about it, like as women in like the ultimate relationship, you should be able to take your partner's vision and find a way to like map it all out, right? Like that's kind of the beauty of the details of women and the big picture of men. And I think that's why we work well together as units, but you can't rush it. And you have to be willing to ask yourself those tough questions. And something I ask couples that come to me for premarital work, and something that I asked myself when I met my husband, was if he never changes, if he never gets any better, if he never improves, can I do this for the rest of my life? Who he is in front of me today.
Can you deal with that?
Can I do this for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
And do I also have the ability, because sometimes women will be like, yeah, I can do it. But do I have the ability to keep my mouth shut about it? Like, and not be angry or pressured, right?
I don't know if I keep my mouth shut about it.
No, then you can't do it, because then that means you can't really do it.
Prayer works. Pray in earnest, girl. Pray in earnest.
Absolutely. And gather so we can help pray for you, right? But I mean, I think that those are the tough parts, being honest about that.
So you just said something and it triggered me to think about a comment that was made by somebody recently to me over the last few months that just went through a divorce. And her comment was, she's grieving the fact that she may have married the wrong person. And she was like, I'm constantly questioning myself on, did I just choose wrong? And originally, I mean, it really hurt my feelings that she felt that way, right? Yeah. Because they were married for a very long time. And I could see how they got married and the love that they had in the relationship. But I do think that she evolved at a different pace than he did.
Yeah.
And she was wanting him to come along on that evolution with her. But I don't think he ever intended, wanted, desired to evolve. I think or knew how.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I felt bad because they have children. Right. And I didn't know, it's been difficult for me over the last year or so to figure out my space in their divorce journey.
Okay.
Right. Because we have been close to them for a very long time. And so the divorce naturally not just impacts them, but it impacts everything. It impacts, okay, well, the birthday party. Okay, who do we extend the invitation to? Both of them, yes, right? Oh, wait, no, do they talk? Like, is that going to create a problem? Right? Yeah. Or what are the boundaries, right? Because the relationship, there's different dynamics, right, in the relationship. And if your husband feels a certain way about, no, let's move in this direction. And you're like, all right, I'm moving with you in this direction, but that's not appreciated or received by the person that's going through the change. That can be challenging, right? So what is it that people should do or say or not do or say as they are navigating divorce of people around them who you care and love, care about and love, but what does that dynamic look like? What should it look like?
I think the easiest way, because it's very complicated, is to not make an executive decision about somebody else's life. So you, as the outsider, don't get to decide what they need. So just asking. I think that there's a lot of assumption that's made, and it's uncomfortable. I think, like I went through that too. I where when we divorced, there were people who were like, well, what side and who do we call? And this person's still calling this person. And do we continue to engage and all of that, right? So it does get complicated. And I think that the safest thing to do is to honor the people that are going through it first. Yes. Right. And not have your own value system be the leading force for how you will move, because it's not really your experience. Right.
Yeah.
And then I think that the second part to that would be, and it's tough, sometimes you have to make a choice, because you may receive conflicting counsel from what's needed, right? Yes. One person, but I want to be friends with you. And the other one's like, well, you can't be friends with them because you were my friend first.
Correct.
Like, you can't do that. That's a no-go. Well, now you have to make a choice. And that's the really tough part. Sometimes you do have to make choices.
That, I think, is the hardest thing, right?
Yeah.
Because the other party can also just be silent.
Yeah.
Right? And depending on the relationship, which was the impact in the situation that we're in, my husband has a closer relationship or bond with the person that's silent, and the person that is more communicative, and this is what I want this to look like, and this is how I want it. That's okay. But my husband says, okay, I receive that. I respect that. But I need to create a boundary until I understand what the silent person,
which is the origination of the relationship to begin with.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's hard, right? And having that conversation was difficult. And I had to step in, and part of it was me truly being defensive of my husband, because I felt like what he communicated, he communicated what the need was or what his position was, and it wasn't well received. And so then I jump into the mode of defensive wife, right, in the communication to the person that's saying, this is what I want it to look like. And I said, whoa, like, hold on. You don't get to decide that.
Right.
Because you said it's their decision, but at the same time, we also have a role in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And I had to go back and apologize because I wasn't looking at it from the space of, this is a woman. This is, a mother navigating a divorce that I've never navigated. And so I needed to respect that I didn't understand
her
feelings, right? And she appreciated that, because I had to take a step back and say, wait a minute, I understand why I feel the way I feel, but I also haven't even considered
your feelings,
her feelings, right? And why she was loud about what she wanted and desired, right? And rightfully so. And I respect that. I completely respect that. But I also needed to reinforce the fact that my husband's position is this position, and he loves you. And we're there. We're not going anywhere, but we still need to navigate this space.
The tough piece is that what you were describing to this person was your own set of boundaries. Mm-hmm. And while they were going through whatever they were going through, they also have a responsibility, especially if they're wanting to secure a relationship with you, to honor and respect your boundaries. Mm-hmm. So if your boundaries are, I am Switzerland, I cannot make a choice right now. I just need a moment to think. And what that may look like is that this is the dynamic where we can operate together. This is the way in which we will converse, but I can't over here. That has to also still be honored. And I totally understand what you're saying, that, you were attempting to be sensitive and compassionate to this other person's plight, but that also, as tough as it is to hear, wasn't your responsibility or duty. So that person had a duty to also respect your boundary, because this is now your marriage. Yes. So we can't have a problem in our marriage because of your marriage.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But it's also a desire to still let them know, like, I know this is what you're experiencing, but we do still love you, and we will still support you. And we love both. We're not choosing a side at all. Exactly. Right. We're not. Because we see that there are different reasons for people to get divorced, and he could have been right or wrong. She could have been right or wrong. They both could be right and wrong. And that's okay. There's no judgment about why
not wanting to litigate
together. That's not my place. Right. But that we still cannot take for granted the fact that we built a relationship over the last 16 years. Yes. My husband for longer than that. Mm-hmm. And we love them both.
Right.
And we love their children.
Right.
And that's not going to change because their circumstances changed.
Exactly.
And we still do want the relationship with all of them. It's just
going to look different.
It looks different.
It's going to look different. Yeah. And it's an adjustment for all parties. And I think that while you're right in the thick of it and it's super fresh, it's hard to accept that there is going to be an adjustment, which is why, I mentioned that piece about the boundaries. Like, hey, I just don't want to get in the sticky part.
Right.
Like, let's continue to do the pieces that we historically have continued to do, right? Like, if we have a girlfriend's lunch that we go to once a quarter, we'll continue our girlfriend's lunch once a quarter. But I can't get caught up in the litigation of the right and the wrong in the marriage, because no one, like literally no one except the two people in it, know what's really happening in it fully.
So that's another question, right? Because if you do have a relationship, especially with children, right? And one person says, I'm going to bring the kids over. Is that fine? And they stay, while the kids play. To me, that should generally be okay, right? Because while we're there, for me personally, I'm not talking to this person about, so how's it going? Yeah. Are y'all getting along? Are you... No.
Yeah, you're not, but there's some nosy folks out there.
Exactly.
It is, right? But
and
the
people know that they're nosy.
Yes. But the other person's perception may be
that you are.
That you may be, or that they may be trying to get their point across. How do you navigate that?
I mean, I think if you care enough, you just have the honest conversations. Like, hey, listen, I'm very clear, again, going back to boundaries, which is like a huge thing for me. I'm very clear that that's not my place. Like, so my kids love your kids. This is who they're with this weekend. And so they're gonna kick it together. It's strictly that. And I hope that you know that I care about you enough to be honest with you, that I wouldn't betray you and talk about you behind your back. So this is really truly about the kids, right? Yes. And so I mean, I think that that's the best part, but that still now goes back to the other person now accepting your boundary, like, which is the tough piece about all of this. At every turn, whatever decision you make, the other people have to learn to accept it.
Right. Yeah.
That's the tough part. People don't like accepting what is not what they want.
Yeah.
Shalonvia, what are some other ways that we can support, like, our newly divorced friend, a friend that's going through the divorce? So you mentioned boundaries and communicating or listening to understanding their boundaries. Are there any other ways that we can support our friends as they navigate this new normal?
For sure. So talking to them is going to be critical however they need it, right? But it needs to be what they need in those moments. So, hey, do you need to vent today? Do you want advice today? Are we bashing today? Like, what are we doing, right?
Yeah,
like,
they need
what we doing today, friend, right? Like, are we pissed off today? Are we both mad? Or are we, am I cheering you up? So I think that kind of figuring out what they need, because that changes so frequently depending on if they are the person pursuing the divorce or that has received the news that they're being left.
It does make a difference.
Makes a huge difference.
It does.
Yeah. So figuring out what they need in those moments, being able to have those conversations with them. I think also just asking them how you can provide them the ways in which they can have a sense of reprieve. Because going through a divorce, it's heavy, and it's like all day, every day. There's, you got to get ready for a discovery. You got to talk to an attorney. You got to sign a thing. You got to have a court date. You got to work around your work schedule. It's all the stuff, right? So what do you need from me that I can provide, where I can provide you a sense of reprieve, like where it can just be a non-divorce talk or a non-divorce thing, right? And then also helping them to figure out where they want to go going forward. Some people struggle and need to stay in the midst of the discomfort. So we got to know people's personality. And some people want to just move on. So then if we're just moving on, well, what does that look like for you? Do we need to help you find a new house, a new car, a new job, a new haircut? Because, we'll go get our hair done real quick. I chopped all of mine off. Like,
that hair is a statement piece.
It is. It is. So, I think those are some kind of easy, low-hanging fruit things that you can target with your friends or loved ones that are going through, to meet them wherever they may need you at in those moments. And then the other piece is, if you do, like kind of in your instance, if you know both sides, don't repeat. Don't share. That sometimes, and I hear this in session a lot, like, I'm tired of so-and-so calling and telling me that they saw my ex-husband at this place. I'm tired of so-and-so saying, oh, he's on a date or she's doing. Don't just kind of be respectful of that. You would be surprised how many people share social media posts.
That's what I was going to say. Social media probably makes it really mentally hard for people to move on, because it's so easy to go click on somebody's page. And sometimes you're not even looking for it and it can come up. And then it's this illusion that this person is out having the best time of their life. They could be at home miserable like you. You don't know, but what you see is one day or one picture or something, and then
it's triggering.
Or a photo dump, and the photo dump is over the last year, and you think it's over the last week, and and it's not their reality. So for sure, social media is super dangerous when people start going through stuff.
It is.
So just kind of
and
being
especially
cautious to that.
People themselves that are going through the divorce, posting things on social media to get a reaction, or just that's their method of venting, and it's like, oh, why did you put that there?
I'd be like, do they have a friend? Because if you put, I'd be like, girl, take that down. Take it down right now.
Don't you dare.
Or share it with your friend or in your DM. Don't. It doesn't need to be for public consumption.
Share it on the phone every day, but I'm not gonna put it on social media.
But we've seen people, multiple people, that are on there, and she'll call me and be like, "Girl, did you see such and such?"
I'm like,
I guess they broke up again. I guess they not together today. And then the next week it's like, oh, we went out to dinner, and it's like,
I can't keep up.
I can't keep up. But it's social media on a number of different fronts is a problem.
For sure.
It
is. It's a massive problem.
So when you are navigating that with a friend or with a family member, can you suggest things that you're comfortable with that can create a new normal for that relationship? For example, if we did holidays jointly, every holiday we're together, can we, almost like divorced parents, can we get with you on the Thanksgiving and then with you on the Christmas? Right. Can we, what would you suggest there? Like, or not?
I mean, I think that if the relationship is a really solid one where like you are really evenly between the two, it might be that, here I go with the boundaries again, that's just your boundary, right? So like I have one family member who went through a divorce, but their village is solid. Yeah. When I say it's solid, like all the couples, all the kids, everybody vacations together, everybody. So it was like, hey, we're not changing anything. So whoever shows up, shows up. And we're going to all be adults and we're going to all love each other the same way. You guys just grew apart, which is what the case was for them, right? They had been together forever as kids, literally in high school all the way through. And so they grew apart. And so it wasn't like there was this calamity of a dynamic. So now it's just like, okay, we're going to have to, if you don't feel like you can be okay here, just know that the door is always open to both. Right. So if you don't feel like you are equipped to be present, because I have an open door policy at my home or with my family, then at least they know, because that's still, yet again, your boundary. You got to indicate, I'm not picking, like I'm super in the middle of the road here. Otherwise, like talking it out, like, okay, you always really like Thanksgiving, so we're going to keep rocking Thanksgiving with you, and Christmas will be with you, and or we can do even and odd years if we need to do that, like the divorce, whoever has the kids for that holiday comes, or, kind of working through those details. I think almost any suggestion is viable and reasonable if the parties involved are willing to compromise and be a participant, Like, yes, Lord. Yes, I repeat a few words here and there.
That's still a strong one. Compromise. It's important.
It's interesting because my husband and I have even talked about, okay, how will we handle a situation where the two people, name the people, right? They are here, they come, but one brings somebody and the other one doesn't.
Oh, yeah.
And I can really see that happening.
I could see that happening, right? Ooh, child. Then what role do you take on? Because one person may pop off completely.
Well, if like, if you got a firecracker,
exit stage left, sir or ma'am,
the antagonist. I mean, I would venture to say that that would have to be the person, because we have a level of decorum here, right? Like everybody is just going to behave a certain way. And I get that it is going to be emotionally jarring to see the person you spent however many years with another person if you didn't want the divorce to happen.
But I think, and I could be completely wrong about this, but let's say we're talking about a husband and wife, and the ex-husband brings somebody to a party, and he knows his ex-wife is going to be there. He needs to have that discussion beforehand. It's like, I feel like that's just decent of you. Like, if you know that we used to share a space together or we share friends, and you're going to bring your new chick, have that conversation with me, please. Like, at least, I feel it needs to be, like, that don't need to be the first time. Like, prep do some prep work. That's my take on it.
Yeah, but I do think that sometimes it's hard to have that conversation with the person, or you may have the conversation with the person and they're like, yes, it's not a problem. But then when they get there,
it's a whole nother ballgame.
It's a whole nother ballgame.
And then it also probably depends on the family member, because I guess looking at it from the sense of, if we going to my people's house, if I'm at my people's house and you showing up to my people's house, I'm going to do what I do at my people's house. And if you got a problem with it, deuce. I can see it from their perspective.
But you also have to think about, like, how can I communicate with you? Like, if I'm going through a divorce with you and I cannot communicate with you, I'm probably not telling you that much. Not because I'm keeping things from you, but because it's probably why we're divorcing. Like, we can't talk. I can't communication. Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I see that too.
It's so convoluted because you're dealing with individual human beings who all have their own outlooks on life and different responses. And divorce and death bring out the worst in people.
Oh,
like,
girl. It does.
You can't predict. I'm not gonna lie. I was shocked and appalled, clutched my pearls often going through my divorce. Like, I would have never.
Right.
There were things that I experienced that I would have never thought would have happened in my life.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think that you plan for the best, you know, and I don't mind sharing that my divorce for me didn't have to be contentious. I just was like, this isn't working. Like, I want the best for you. I want your life to go well. I'm willing to, like, we can keep splitting the bills, even though I didn't moved out. Literally did this because I want you to win, but I want to be a part. This isn't working, right? Yeah. I just couldn't come up for air. And a non-contested divorce took 17 months.
Wow.
Yeah. 17 months, right? And we weren't fighting about a house or a car. Like, I literally walked away from everything. So I'm saying that to say, in certain dynamics, it doesn't matter how communicative or how compassionate or how willing to sacrifice you may be, you may not be able to just come up for air with some people.
Yeah.
So that's a tough thing to kind of label how you should respond.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how people are going to be.
Yeah, because we've experienced multiple people in the last 2 years going through this that we've gone on trips with, that we've, had at holiday parties and birthday parties and all sorts of things. But each of their dynamics are different.
Yeah.
Right. And some of them were more explosive, but because, we did choose a side, then it's easy just not to have the other side present.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In other situations, it's more complicated because you want to keep the relationship with both sides, and that is harder to navigate. And I think even the emotions that each person goes through throughout the journey, right, is different.
Yeah.
The moments of anger may come up earlier for one and later for the other.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I was talking to you about one situation and I was like, no, I think that person is fine. I think they're perfectly fine.
And I was like, that person ain't fine.
And she was like, no, I don't think so. I'm like, no, but we had a conversation and I think this person is good. It was like, what I know about the person, they ain't good.
I don't think the person good, boo.
Like, no, I think
she
so.
probably put it on that front, that strong front for you, but
you knew better, yeah.
She knew, but I was like, no, I think she's okay. And she wasn't okay. Yeah. Rightfully so. Like, nothing wrong with that. But I was like, oh, wait, I thought you had passed that stage.
Yeah.
But it's a grief. Like, and that's what people don't think about. Divorce is literally grieving the death of a relationship, grieving the death of what you envisioned your life to be, grieving the death of all of the things that you envisioned for you, right? Yeah. So every time I maybe reach a spot where I should have experienced something, that's a reminder of this loss that I had. Yeah. So you have all of these things where you are re-traumatized at different spaces of life. And if you haven't really worked through those feelings and reconciled within yourself, this was a stage of my life. It has now passed. How do I get it together to move on to the next stage? Then you're going to continue to have these emotional dysregulations through the process instead of being able to say, okay, like, let me put my big girl panties on and
So the other, I guess, mechanism that people can use is therapy, right? Really helping them, of course, go through that grieving process, right? Do you have clients who you work with as they're going through the divorce, and is that successful for them?
So I actually, at this very moment, have 3 clients going through divorce who I've been working with long before they made the decision for the divorce and worked all the way through. And I have a couple of clients who still see me, who I've worked with them from marriage counseling through an amicable divorce, new relationships, and moving on. Okay. So yes, I've kind of touched all of the different facets. And one of the things that I'd say to people, because I'm a firm believer in kind of starting from the beginning, right? Before you make the decision to divorce, make sure you're really ready. I think that's why some divorces are super sticky and nasty. I'm fed up, I'm agitated, I'm irritated. I'm leaving and I'm getting a divorce, but you still have not really severed the appropriate emotional ties to be prepared for the dissolution of the relationship. Ooh. Okay. So make sure that you know that this is what you want to do. So then you're also not looking back and going, oh, well, we started dating again, or we slept together last night because we got emotional, or all of these other things. That's why a lot of people have these back and forths, because you didn't really finish it before you left. So start there, and then helping them to work through, okay, how do we want this to end? Like I'm a firm believer that you want to look at what the goal is, and then we take the subsequent steps to get to the goal, but we go backwards, right? So if I know where I'm headed, then I can build an appropriate plan of action to get there. So we have kids, we got to raise them. And no, it's not till 18. We're their parents for life.
Right.
So how do we do this where you and I can be in the same room without killing each other, where the kids don't feel uncomfortable, where they don't have to pick between us, et cetera, right? So then you begin potentially, if both parties are willing to, creating the plan that allows them to work through whatever the parts are that prohibit them from being able to be in the same room with each other.
Right.
So that's now self-control. If this thing is agitating me, okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and head out. It was so good seeing everybody. I don't have to show my... I can leave.
You can leave. Yeah.
Or I can make a decision that today's not a good day. My mood is low. I don't need to be around Joe Bob. I can't go today. Sorry, I can't come to the party, right? Yeah. So being able to be introspective enough to check in with yourself. What's my capacity to navigate this relationship? And then making the decisions about what you want to look like. Now, that's always been a firm part of who I am. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to show my behind because you show yours. No. So
that'd be hard for me. I'm not going to lie. That would be hard for me. Because I'm like, oh, we can set it out.
And she would. I'd be like, come on, sis.
Okay, so having a kid does put a different perspective. Yeah. So that might be the only thing that might. But baby, what you want to do up in here? So I see that.
It'll come. And to be fair to you, Tosh, partially how I got here, interestingly enough, is because I don't like people controlling me, right? So I feel like you control me if you got me outside of myself.
Yeah.
So I'm not willing to let you control me. So I'm going to show up in a way that's not going to let you get me where you think you want to get me.
But I think that's what I love about my husband, in the sense that he's so calm. You know what I'm saying? Like, he does not... We've been married 4 years now, and we are just now starting to have like kind of little friction a little bit. And I think it's a few things probably to do with that. One, I'm still grieving my father, so I'm reacting in ways that are not normal. Mm-hmm. And but he don't trigger, like, he does not play into, like, I would just really be arguing with myself the most. I'm like, okay, and so And I do like that about him, because I'm like, if I had somebody that was like me,
you,
I don't know where we'd be.
She got the right person, because he is the opposite, right? Yeah. He is the calm to the storm.
He's just gonna be even keel.
He's even. And he gonna be like, all day, every day.
I get that.
You done? And I'm like, did you hear me? I heard you.
I heard you.
Like,
he's so calm.
Done.
That's beautiful.
It is. It is.
Child, it is a good thing. Again, this conversation is really helping me, as always, to recognize some things in myself.
Yes. So when you are going through, what I've noticed from some people that I've seen over the last several years going through a divorce, is that they have rediscovered who they are or want to be. Right. And so you're looking at, and it's been several people, and I'm looking on social media, and I'm like, oh, okay, pop your collar, get it, do you.
Where they come from?
Like, I have never seen that side of that person, you know?
Yeah.
And so part of it is really readjusting yourself to this new person as well.
Yeah.
Because sometimes in a marriage, they may have been constrained.
Yes.
They may not have been able to truly be who they wanted to be and bloom in the way that they wanted to bloom.
For sure.
And so that kind of caught me off guard from a few people, because I'm like, oh, okay.
That's who you really are.
That's who you are. Oh,
yeah.
And not in a negative way.
No, for sure.
But just like, I
see you.
I see you. Yeah. Right. But you're seeing you in a different way. And you're like, okay, I don't know how to approach this new person.
Shout out to my sisters that say, hey, this is me.
This is me.
Yes, this is me.
And I'm like, okay, well, you go, girl. And I'm, sending messages or whatever. But that's also, I've noticed, and I don't know if that's just they were constrained and confined, or if they are just trying to figure things out, and this is, you know, a symptom
You
of,
know what else
of
got
that.
popular too? The divorce parties. Like,
Yes.
what's your take on that? Like, do you think that's healthy to, or
Yes.
I've been to a few.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, we're
I'm like,
celebrating.
oh, so, yeah. Or is it like a celebration? I've never been to one, but
The most recent one that I went to, it was a celebration, and we were happy for her.
okay.
She tried. She tried so
Everything,
hard.
yeah.
And there just wasn't the willingness from her ex-husband. And so for her, it was like, oh my God, I've just shed all of this, right? Like she just took all of it off, and she began being very free, right? Free with her time, free with her money. She's traveling, she's doing all of these things, right? And she was very much so unbothered by life. It was just like, I have been very bothered for a very long time, so I don't give a shit about none of this. So I think in some instances it's good because it's an experience of liberation for some people, right?
Yeah.
I think in all spaces we have to monitor intentionality. So if the people are doing it to snub their nose or to kind of be messy or petty, to me that just has bad energy, and I don't really want to deal with it. But I think that there are some folks who really are like, oh my God, I get to be free. Literally free, you know?
Yeah.
And exploring a whole nother part of life, traveling, eating different things, wearing your hair the way you want to, wear the clothes you want to wear the color lipstick you want to wear, you know, all the little things that maybe you didn't do because you were compromising for your spouse's happiness.
Yeah. And it makes me sad that some women feel completely liberated, or men, right? Feel liberated from the relationship because my husband and I are very intentional about, we are not going to be in an unhappy marriage.
Yeah.
We're just not. Like, if there's an issue, we need to talk about it. If there's something I need to fix, hey, let's work on that.
Yeah.
I mean, not to say we don't have bad days, but we're talking about bad marriage.
Yeah.
We're not, we didn't sign up to have a bad marriage.
I want to pinpoint something that you just did that I don't think you realized. People will say often, I won't be in an unhealthy or unhappy marriage. And what that means is I will then leave. But what you said is, we're going to fix it.
Yeah.
And that's the differentiator between
Right.
those that, when, like you started today talking about the increased rates of divorce, and because I won't be unhappy, not recognizing that the underlying piece to that message is, so then you work harder, or you fight, or you pursue answer. Instead, we are super quick. You'll trade in your car, you'll move, you'll change your hair and your nails and your man or woman and be done, instead of trying to find ways to repair it and enhance it. So I just wanted to kind of shout you out on that, because that distinction is often missed. And I think that's the differentiator between folks. Like, we're talking about us all being happily married and enjoying our spouses and enjoying our lives, because I think we have that mindset that says, when it starts getting sticky,
the mindset.
Yes,
It's not just the one.
no,
Because he's very quick to be like, hey, can we talk about? I'm like, yeah, sure, let's talk about that. Because he communicates too.
yes,
It's not just me communicating what I need. It's him communicating what he needs, and us both being willing to.
but you
adjust.
make it safe for him too. That's another topic.
That's
for
a whole
another
other
day.
topic
That's
for another
a
day.
topic.
Do you know that I asked him that question one day? I said, am I a safe space for you to land?
That's wonderful.
He said, not all the time.
Wow.
That hit me like, whoa. But I knew that. That's why I asked the question.
You already had that feeling.
I had the feeling. That's why I asked the question. Because I could see him sometimes like shut down, and he talks. And I'm like, huh.
Kudos to you.
Yeah. So
real.
I have been intentional about being the safe space.
All right, friend.
I love that. Seriously.
Somebody else will find it'll be comfortable. They'll make it comfortable, safe and everything.
They sure will.
Not on my watch. You're not. This my man, baby. I didn't work hard. No, but what you have to do is get what I didn't work for.
That part.
You hear me?
But kudos to you for one, recognizing that it needed to be asked, and shout out to him for being able to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
We don't do that well.
At
Sorry,
all.
Black ladies.
At all.
We don't do that well. we don't always do that part well, and we have to be. I can already hear though, but I had to be strong, and I had to, right. But you have to also know that there's a time and a place for everything. We've been taught that since we were born. So that means that there's a time and a space for you to be soft and gentle, and you have to create that space for your partner to be okay, to be vulnerable with you, to say that thing makes me uncomfortable. Yeah. Or I really want to talk to you about this, but anytime I bring it up, it feels like it's going to be a fight.
Right.
How can we talk about this without it being a fight?
Yeah.
If you don't make that opportunity available, then you can't cry in your Cheerios when they don't want to talk to you no more.
Yeah. Whoop. Ma'am, that was a mic drop moment. Anything else we need to put on the table? We need to have a whole conversation about safe spaces.
I think so.
Oh, that's my favorite thing.
Yeah, we do.
Boundaries and safe spaces are my two favorite topics.
Boundaries and safe
We
spaces.
will come back to part 2, Bloom fam, because that is really, really important.
Because the thing that I want to see, boundaries, I need you to help me understand boundaries.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I feel like boundaries are a way. I'm big on communication. I feel like as adults, people should communicate what it is that they need. I feel like sometimes people use boundaries as a passive aggressive. Like, it's like, that's my boundary. Like, I'm not talking to them because they crossed my boundary. Well, do they know what your boundary was? Like, have you communicated to them? I feel like sometimes people use it as an excuse to not deal with reality and resolve.
Often.
So I sometimes hate when people like, my boundary. I feel like, but are you an adult? Like, like I'm keeping my boundaries. In 2025, you're not crossing my boundary. I hope I don't have to.
But that proves that they don't fully understand it, because I can't tell you that you will not cross my boundary. That's your choice.
See, so I think that would be a good part to.
I think so.
Yeah, boundaries in soft landing.
Safe space. Yes.
A safe space to land, because the Black woman and just being strong, it's like it's there. You know, how do you navigate that? That's good. That's
a good one. Okay.
I love it.
Do you have any quick gems? So we talked about divorce. We talked about navigating divorce if you're going through it. Bloom fam, if you heard anything you liked, please click like, share, subscribe. Thank you, friend. But really quick, do you have any quick gems for couples who may be at the place of navigating, like they may be in therapy, they don't want to give up? Like, what are some tips for the couples out there that are trying to hang on and make it work? I ain't talking about people who beating each other over the head. I'm talking about, it's a workable relationship. Yeah. Possibly. Like, are there any just little quick gems that maybe we can leave with the Bloom fam if you're in a relationship and things might be a little tough right now for you?
Don't major in the minor.
Ooh.
Like, just can we leave the little like piddly shit on the floor? Like, just don't hold on to he didn't pick up his underwear yesterday. Like, because what happens is you're agitated and everything compounds. So you're no longer actually considering a dissolving of this relationship because of real critical issues. You're just agitated over a bunch of small things. So, like, please stop sweating this. Please stop sweating the small stuff. Can we let go of the little stuff that doesn't matter?
Yeah.
Of the drawers on the floor.
Listen, because every wife deals with that. Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about them drawers. They just can't find their way to the drawers.
To the hamper.
But one person who I adore, that is her biggest pet peeve. But I know why. Because when she grew up and we were at her house, her parents were like, that was the first thing we had to do. Saturday morning, get up. You got to wash all the clothes. You got to wash all the things. You got to keep everything. She is programmed that way. And I'm like, yeah, she's programmed that way. I was like, I get it. I could see why it agitates her.
Don't leave your husband over them drawers.
I promise it's okay.
Every man gonna do that.
Every man.
For the most part.
Yeah.
But if you just make up your mind, I will pick up his drawers like I pick up the children's drawers. And it's just a part of your routine. I'll pick up his, mine, and the dog's. Just pick it all up. Just pick it all up. It's okay.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Don't sweat the small stuff.
Don't sweat the small stuff.
I love that.
I like it. Don't major in the minor.
Don't
Please
major in
don't.
the minors.
Okay.
I love that. I think
Let it just kind of be stuff to consider,
All right.
but not.
Yeah, I think
Deal
we need a
breakers.
relationship series, and then part 2
I
would
would
be.
love to.
I know we always
That
come
would
with
be
these
beautiful.
series.
We're gonna do a financial series. We're gonna do a relationship
We'll
series.
just do a part 2.
Shalonvia is gonna be
Hey.
our resident therapist.
Bloom fam, if y'all have questions for Shalonvia, go ahead and drop them in the comments. She's coming back.
She's coming back.
We're not letting her go because she be dropping that knowledge. Look, every time she come, I be like, you talking to me.
Yes.
Just a little bit.
She be
Just a
helping
little
me.
bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah, so if you have questions about relationships or about your mate, spouse, partner, go on and drop that, and we're going to get that answered.
For
We might
sure.
do a live on a Friday or something.
I can do that.
Yes.
I don't see clients
All
on
things
Fridays.
relationship.
We can
I know.
do- we-
I know.
Oh, she knew that.
I knew that.
I think we're gonna get that on the schedule.
We're gonna get that on the schedule.
I like
Thank you,
it.
honey.
Yeah,
I love
my
that you come
pleasure.
share all your knowledge with us.
Oh, thank you. Thank
And-
y'all for having me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Your first episode, I was really hesitant to get a therapist, and you opened up that door for me. And I had phone calls from other people who watched our episode. Y'all check out our first 2 episodes. There are 2 parts. Shalonvia comes and blesses us, and I have friends that call me and say, "Hey, I'm gonna consider a therapist now." Like she was good. Yeah. So thank you so
That
much.
makes
And
my heart
I was
happy.
hesitant to start that journey, but I'm on the bus.
And
You were on
just
the
stick
bus.
with it.
Yes.
Stick with it.
I'm on the
She
Because it
has.
does. It's not always easy. Just like dating. I said that before. Just like dating. So you might find a therapist that don't really work. It's okay to dump us
Yeah,
and go back to the dating pool.
That lady needed to be dumped.
she was awful, but I think the lady who
sorry.
I'm talking to now,
It does
I like
happen.
her. Yeah,
It does happen. We're all human,
yeah,
and people slip through.
She
Sorry.
slipped all the way through.
all the way through. I was
Oh
like,